Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a get ready with me, but I basically just wanted to kind of update you on what's been going on with me. I've kind of shared a little bit about some health issues that I've been having and trying to figure out what's going on, and I kind of shared about it a few weeks ago in a video, and I said I would make an update in a few weeks, so that's what we're going to be doing today. I kind of gone back and forth on if I wanted to film this video or not. Sometimes it's really hard to share certain things online. You never know. I think on one hand it's good to talk about it, and sometimes it is helpful for other people and for me too, just to kind of get it out there and talk about it. But there's also the part that's hard where, when you share things, sometimes you get a lot of opinions, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but when they're personal things that you're sharing, it can just be difficult sometimes. But I want to share an update and what's been going on with you, so that's what we're going to be doing today. If you're new here, my name is Blair, and I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I hope you'll stick around, and let's just get into the makeup. I probably won't talk much about what I'm using today, but everything that I use will be in the description box. I've actually tried to film this once already, and I got a little bit into it, and I just felt like I was all over the place, and I wasn't explaining things well. It's kind of a lot to really process, and I still don't know a whole lot. So it's hard to keep things in order of when they happened and really not be all over the place. So I'm going to try again, and hopefully I can do it a little bit better this time. One more thing before we get started, I did just want to add a little bit of a disclaimer here that we're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be sharing about, some sensitive things in terms of pregnancy and miscarriage, those kinds of things. So if that bothers you in any way, maybe don't watch this video. I just wanted to put that out there before we kind of get started talking, because that's a sensitive thing for a lot of people. It is for me also, so I understand. And I don't want anyone to watch and be upset by anything. So I just want to put that out there. But let's go ahead, and I'll just kind of try to start from the beginning. If you've watched other videos where I've kind of talked about it, you'll probably know a little bit of this first part, but I just want to share from the beginning for anyone that has not seen other videos. I'm going to use this Natasha Denona corrector today. So basically, I have had, for most of my life, I would say starting at about age 12, I have had stomach issues. Stomach issues, I mainly mean a stomach ache that I would get. And it started when I was young, around 12, 13. I want to say it was 12. And it's kind of a hard feeling to describe, but basically I would have these periods of time where I would get this kind of gnawing stomach pain, and I would get it in the middle of my abdomen, right above my belly button. So like, I would say like an inch above my belly button. And it's just like a gnawing pain. That's really the only way I know to describe it. It feels like how you feel when you're really, really hungry and you haven't eaten for a while. You get that kind of hunger pang feeling. That is what the closest thing I can think of to what this felt like and what I've had for years. And basically no one has ever been able to tell me what it is. When I was young, I've been to different gastroenterologists because you would think in that location that it's like a stomach issue. So I've been to gastro doctors, and they've done all the things they do. The gluten test has always been negative on me. They've done, when I was young, they've done a stool test. They've done all the things that they check for when you go to a pediatric gastro doctor. I've also had 2 endoscopies. I don't know if it's endoscopy or endoscopy. I'm not really sure, but I've had 2 of those. One, I guess when I was like 14 or 15, and then another one about almost 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years ago, I guess. And they didn't find anything with either of those things. They were, I guess, looking for an ulcer, because if you Google a gnawing stomach pain, typically what comes up is an ulcer. So, like I said, they did those 2. They saw no ulcers. They didn't see anything at all. So this has just kind of been something that has kind of just been something I deal with in my life, because I've never been able to figure out what it is. I've never been able to figure out something that I can do or take to make it go away or make it better. So yeah, it's kind of been an ongoing issue for me. So about 3.5 months ago, this started beginning of August. I guess I typically call it like an episode. I don't know what it is, so I don't really know what to call it. But I started having the same pain again, the gnawing pain right in the middle of my abdomen. This started like beginning of August. And this time it went on for a long time. It went on for weeks and it wasn't going away. And that's kind of how it's been through the years. Is sometimes it lasts a few days, sometimes it lasts a week, sometimes it lasts 2 weeks, but this was going on like over 2 weeks. It'd been a while. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to start looking into this again, because this is not fun. It makes me feel miserable. It makes me feel like I don't want to do anything. I just want to stay home, because I don't want to be away from home or out somewhere and have it happen. And then there's nothing worse than feeling bad and not being at home, in my opinion. So it makes me just not want to do anything. So about 3 months ago, I started looking into this again, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to really just start trying to figure this out, because I'm 31 years old now, and you know, this is something I've been dealing with for years, and I'm still dealing with it at this point. So I didn't really know where to start. So I started with going to a new gastroenterologist. I had to get a referral from my primary care doctor. And basically, my primary care doctor thought that it was indigestion that I get. So indigestion based on like where I'm at in my cycle, or indigestion based on stress or something I'm eating, but obviously she's not really sure. Well, she did prescribe me omeprazole, which is Prilosec basically. And I did try that for this issue, and it didn't help. In fact, it made me feel worse. It made my stomach really just hurt in general. So I was like, yeah, I don't think that's it, and that medicine does not agree with me. So I asked her to refer me to a gastroenterologist, so she did. So I go see the gastro doctor, and I kind of explained to her, you know, this has been an ongoing thing. Sometimes literally I just have no clue what it is. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to not to do. I don't know what to take. I told her, you know, it's been going on for years. It started around the time I turned 12, which was also around the time that I got my period for the first time. And, you know, I told her that just to give her like the full picture. So maybe that would help in some way. I don't know. But anyway, basically once I said that, she was like, oh, well, that sounds like a hormonal problem to me. Nothing that you're describing tells me that it's a gastro issue, like a digestive issue. She said that sounds like something that has to do with your cycle. So basically she gave me no help at all. She was not helpful at all. She wasn't very nice either. And she basically told me to follow up with my OBGYN. And at the end of the appointment, the only thing that she said to me was, has anyone ever told you that you might have endometriosis? And I was like, well, no, but it's definitely been something that I've thought of myself, which we'll get to in a little bit why I think that. But that was basically all she suggested. And she was, of course, like, yeah, we'll do some blood work. We'll do, you know, the celiac test, all those things. Well, they did all those things. The blood work didn't show anything. The celiac thing was negative, like it has been in the past. So that didn't really get me anywhere. So that appointment was pretty much pointless. But I was like, okay, she says to follow up with my OBGYN, so I will follow up with my OBGYN. So next thing I do, I go to my OBGYN because that's what this gastro doctor suggested. So I go to her, I explain everything to her. I describe, you know, the feeling that it is. It kind of comes and goes. Sometimes it's worse than others. Sometimes it lasts longer than others. I started noticing this type of thing when I was young, around the time when I got my period for the first time. I tell her all these things, and then I tell her that the gastro doctor said that, you know, you may have endometriosis. And she basically says, you know, she was definitely confused by everything I was telling her, which I expected her to be, because pretty much everybody that I'd ever been to or talked to about it seems very confused by what I'm saying. So I wasn't shocked by that, but basically she said, you know, the only way to diagnose endometriosis, which I knew, is to go in and look for it. So if you're not familiar, endometriosis, you cannot see it on an ultrasound, you cannot see it on a CT scan, none of those things. You have to go in laparoscopically and look for it. So that's what she tells me. But she said, I don't think you have that because you don't have the symptoms for that, which, if you're not familiar, basically a lot of people that have endometriosis have really, really heavy periods, a lot of bleeding, which I don't have now, but I did when I was younger. And we'll get to that in a minute too. But a lot of bleeding and a lot of pelvic pain. So a lot of really strong pelvic period pain, or even sometimes when you're not on your period, which I don't really have. I didn't have any pelvic pain actually at this point. We'll get to that in a minute too. So she says, you know, I don't really know, but I don't think that you have endometriosis. So she said the opposite of what the gastro doctor said. But she said, I want you to see this other doctor who, I guess she works with him a lot. She is actually a nurse practitioner. She's not an actual doctor. So she wanted me to see this other doctor that she works with a lot. I kind of went back and forth on. In fact, I think I ended up canceling one of the appointments that she made for me with him because I don't know. I just didn't have any confidence that he was going to tell me anything that I hadn't already been told before. And so, you know, I kind of dragged my feet on that. But in the meantime, so I had not seen him at this point. The gnawing pain that I was having seemed to kind of shift over to my left side. So like kind of the same height, like near my belly button, but over to the left. And that was kind of odd. And so I was having the left side kind of pain. And then I started having lower pelvic pain on the left side. And this was more, when it moved, I would say it was more of an ache, not the gnawing kind of pain that I was having before. I was just having this left side ache from the belly button down, really. So it was definitely a different kind of pain than I had been having before with the gnawing. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I'm having pelvic pain now. So I had not gone to this other doctor she wanted me to go see. So I go back to see her And basically I tell her, you know, I'm still having issues, but now it seems to have moved over to the left side. Can I get an ultrasound? So I requested the ultrasound. They didn't suggest that. She was like, okay. So of course I wanted to get the ultrasound that day. They tell me they can't do the ultrasound the same day, so I have to go back the next day, and then I have to go back the day after that to review the results, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, so I have the ultrasound, and basically they don't see anything on the ultrasound. I thought maybe I have a cyst, maybe I have fibroids, maybe that's why I'm having this pelvic pain now, but they don't see anything on the ultrasound. And the other reason I wanted to have the ultrasound, which this is kind of getting into the more sensitive things now that I was talking about in the beginning, is I have had 2 miscarriages. So I did share when I had my first one. That happened about 2 years ago. That was beginning of 2021. So I guess it's almost 3 years ago now. I had one. I did share that in a video a few months after it happened. And that, I won't go into that super in depth, but it was not a good time. It was terrible. That honestly was very traumatic, and it still just is really hard for me to talk about, which is kind of why I've put off filming this video. But anyway, I did have one. It was a very early miscarriage, and it was painful. Physically, it was painful. Emotionally. Fast forward to earlier this year. This happened end of February, beginning of March 2023. I had a second miscarriage, and I always meant to share that in a video, but I'm just now honestly getting to the point where I can talk about it and not just like burst into tears. And it kind of depends on the day as to whether or not I can talk about it and hold it together. So hopefully I don't lose it, but if I do, I'm sorry. But I did have a second one earlier in the year, and it was kind of the same thing. It was an early miscarriage again, and it was pretty similar to the first one. I think it was a little bit earlier on than the first one was, but anyway, ever since that's happened, I've been really on edge about just, is everything okay in that area? You know, I've had an ultrasound, a vaginal ultrasound years ago, but it's been a long time. So I felt like I needed to have that done anyway. And then when all of this started happening again, I really thought I needed to have it done. So they do the ultrasound and they don't see anything. No ovarian cysts, nothing, which is a good thing, obviously. I didn't want them to find something, but at the same time, it's not helping me with the issues that I'm having. So they do the ultrasound. Of course, I torture myself about that a day or so until I go back to discuss the results, because of course I had to go back 3 different times, which I really don't understand that. But anyway, they do the ultrasound, they don't see anything. So I go back, she reviews, you know, she says, I didn't see anything on the ultrasound, all this. I really want you to see that other doctor, the doctor that I had kind of been going back and forth on whether or not I was going to see him or not. So after that, I was like, well, what the heck, I'm in this at this point. I might as well just go see this other doctor. So I do, and you know, it's like every time I go to see a new doctor, I hate going to the doctor, number one, but number two, I have to like re-explain this all over again each time, and it's not fun. So I do what she wants me to do. I go see this doctor and I tell him everything the same way I told her. He's reviewed the ultrasound. He's like, yeah, I don't see anything on the ultrasound. But I tell him, you know, all the same things about the pain. Now it's shifted over to the left. It seems to, I don't know if I've said this yet, but it also seems to start these episodes around like a week before I'm expected to get my period. That's typically when I notice these kinds of stomach things. So I told him that too. And he basically says, you know, it could be endometriosis. I don't know. But he definitely did not seem confident about it at all, which I didn't expect him to like be able to look at me and say, yeah, you know, I bet you have endometriosis, because obviously, like I said, I know they have to go in and look to even be able to officially diagnose you with it. But I don't know, I just didn't get a feeling of confidence from this doctor. I don't know, I left the appointment honestly really upset because I really didn't want to go see somebody else, but I did it because I just thought I was supposed to. And yeah, he basically said it's possible. Then after that, I go back to see my primary care doctor and I ask her what she thinks, and she says, you know, we should probably do a CT scan on you of your abdomen and your pelvis, just so they can see a more clear picture of everything, like make sure nothing is truly sticking out like anywhere in your abdomen or your pelvis. So I'd have that done, and it was the kind with the IV with the contrast, you know, where it's not a like uncomfortable thing really. It's just the thought of having like a CT scan with an IV contrast is kind of a scary thing. But anyway, I had that done because again, I felt like that was the right thing to do. Even the OB that I went to, both of them said, you know, yeah, I think CT scan's probably a good idea at this point. So they do the CT scan and they don't see anything. They find nothing, which again, I'm not complaining. I don't want them to find anything, but at the same time, I want to know what is going on because this is the most frustrating thing. So they do the CT scan, they don't see anything. Basically, the OBs said that, you know, if they do the CT scan, they don't see anything, then you should probably have a laparoscopy done, which that is how they diagnose endometriosis, is through a laparoscopy. I guess with like a little camera, they go in and look and see if they see endometriosis anywhere. So that's what they suggested. So since then, I haven't had anything else done since the CT scan. I've just kind of been going back and forth on what to do. Do I just leave it alone and just not, you know, continue doing all these things? Because, you know, obviously each time I'm doing these things, we're paying money to do this, and I feel like we're essentially getting nowhere. But again, I want to get to the bottom of it and figure out what the heck is going on. So a few days ago, I was talking to my husband about it, who has been, obviously he's been here this whole time when all this stuff has been going on, and I have a very, very sweet, supportive husband who has been there this whole time, and he has put up with me because I definitely haven't been the easiest person to deal with or to live with. So anyways, we were talking about this a few days ago, and he was looking it up on Google. Like, is there somebody around us that like specializes in endometriosis? Because here's the thing about it is it seems to be a very misunderstood condition, just from what I've read, just based on seeing different doctors. Like, a lot of them seem to not know a whole lot about it, and they don't seem super confident in like talking about it. So anyway, he was like, well, you know, maybe there's somebody around us that deals with this more often, like on a regular basis. So he found this doctor's office nearby where we live that I guess they kind of specialize in minimally invasive surgeries, like a laparoscopy for endometriosis and just other female kind of related things. So I have an appointment to see them tomorrow. So that is kind of where we are. And basically what I'm thinking at this point is if this doctor tells me that, you know, I think it's definitely possible that you have it and you should probably do this laparoscopy, then I am going to do it. I really don't want to do it, but at the same time, I'm tired of not knowing if I have it or not. I'd rather just know, especially with the whole pregnancy thing. It's just, I feel like I just need to know, so it's not just a constant thought in my head. Well, do you have endometriosis? Do you not? So I'm going to see that doctor tomorrow. I'm filming this on Sunday, so you should see this tomorrow. And if he says he thinks that I should have it done, then I'm going to. So that is where we are at this point. But it's just been incredibly frustrating. I mean, a lot of you know I've had to take a little bit of a break from YouTube because of this, which is just a whole other thing. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are. I'm going to that appointment tomorrow, and the other thing I just kind of wanted to touch on, and I'm sure if you yourself have dealt with these kinds of things, or fertility things, miscarriage. I don't even like using the word miscarriage. I think I'll just call it the M word because I really don't even like to say the word. But if you've dealt with that before, you know somebody, then you probably know it is just the most heartbreaking, just difficult thing on so many levels. Because for me, the first one that I had, obviously it was almost 3 years ago, and at that point we were not looking to get pregnant. Obviously if I got pregnant it would be fine and I would be happy about it, but we were not looking to get pregnant at that point. And obviously I'd never been pregnant before, so when that happened, I remember so clearly I was not feeling well. I was feeling really sick, really weak. I can remember at the time I was filming in this room. I was filming declutter videos at the time, and I just for weeks was not feeling good, and I could not figure out why. It was not long after we had moved in this house, and I ended up going to an OBGYN, the one that I go to now. And I did that because at the time we had just moved here and I needed a new doctor here anyway. So I was like, okay, well, you know, something's going on, so I'll just go to the OBGYN anyways, and let them know I'm not feeling good. So when I went there, I guess they did a pregnancy test before she came back there to see me. When she came in, she told me that it was positive, that I was pregnant. And I will never ever forget that moment, because this was still kind of when COVID was going on, and so nobody was with me. I was by myself, and I didn't feel good, and she told me that, and I remember she had to go like get me a pack of crackers, because after she told me that, she told me, you know, we got to check your HCG level today and do all these things, because I wasn't feeling good. And then the other thing that was happening was I was bleeding a little bit, and it wasn't around it was not when I was supposed to get my period or anything. So she basically said, you know, we need to check your HCG, because the fact that you're not feeling good and you're bleeding is a little bit concerning, I think is what she said. So, you know, obviously I won't get too far into that, but basically they checked my HCG and it was, I guess, like a relatively normal level, but then it started to go down over the next few days and I ended up having miscarriage. So that happened, and ever since then, I have just been ultra sensitive about just the OBGYN in general. Every time I go there, I get like this sick kind of feeling, and it's because now I guess I have like, I don't know, we call it like post-traumatic stress of some kind. I don't know, but now every time I go to the OBGYN, I get like this sick feeling, and I think it's because I associate going there with that feeling. And then, like I said, I had a second one earlier this year, and then I really started to get paranoid about stuff, like just everything. So when all these stomach issues started happening, and you know, I go to the doctor and she's like, well, has anyone told you you may have endometriosis? My first thought is, well, maybe I do, and maybe that's why I've had these miscarriages. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, obviously you can still get pregnant if you have endometriosis, but it typically is associated with infertility and I believe higher rate of miscarriage from what I know. So, you know, it's just not, it's a really tough thing. It's tough to not know. It's tough every single month not knowing, you know, oh, am I going to be pregnant this month? Am I not? So that's basically where I'm at. And it's been, I don't know, it's just been really tough. And yeah, it's just something I'm really sensitive about. And like I said earlier, sometimes I like just the thought of the M word or just seeing anything about it will just make me just fall apart all of a sudden. And it's been that way since I had the first one, but really since earlier this year when I had the second one, it affected me for sure. I just kind of wanted to give you an update, and that's where we are. I'm going to go to that appointment tomorrow, and I'm just hoping that it goes well. I hope that they're nice. And I feel like, honestly, I'm probably forgetting to tell you something else. But I don't know. I go back and forth, it seems like daily, really, on what I personally think it is. But the other thing that I always think of, because it's what you read about a lot, is, well, maybe I have IBS that gets aggravated during certain times of the month, and that's what this is, and that's why it comes and goes, and sometimes it hangs around and it doesn't want to go away. But IBS, the only way to diagnose that is basically to eliminate everything else, which is what I'm trying to do. I don't know, but there's definitely a part of me that thinks, well, maybe that's what it is, and it's as simple as you have IBS, or maybe I have both. Maybe I have endometriosis and IBS. I don't know. But the other thing I was going to say, I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, is when I was talking about some of the symptoms of endometriosis being heavy periods and really painful periods. When I was younger, really for most of my life since I've had a period, I did have painful periods. And I would say when I was younger, they were pretty heavy. But what has happened in the last 2.5 years, and I don't know if this is related or not, but since I've had the first miscarriage, my periods have not been as heavy. They have not been as heavy, and I would say they haven't been as painful either. So that also kind of makes me wonder, like, what is that? Why is that? I hope this appointment goes well, and I would really like to just be able to know what it is when I have these spells, I guess we'll call it, because it's just miserable to not feel well and not know why, and not know what to do, not know what not to do. It's just, I don't know. And then the other thing they tell you, you know, is you don't need to stress, like eliminate stress. Well, how the heck are you supposed to do that? This whole situation is stressful. And then you add the whole pregnancy thing on the top of it. And me being paranoid all the time about that. I just don't know how you're supposed to not stress about that. I really don't. I hope I wasn't too all over the place, like trying to explain this. But it's just it's tough to explain because there's a lot and I don't know a lot, unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of eyeshadow I'm going to use this palette. I got this during the Sephora sale, but I haven't used it yet. This is the Pat McGrath, what was this, Bronze Ecstasy Holiday Palette. So I'm going to take, I guess I'm going to start with this shade here. This palette, I just love the colors in here. And I'm going to start, I don't really know where I'm going with this, to be honest. I'm going to kind of put this on the lid and kind of blend it up a little. So, like I said in the beginning, I kind of went back and forth on if I was going to share this or not, like in detail, just because it's just a hard thing to talk about. But sometimes it's just, when you're going through something like this, you just want to feel like you're not the only person dealing with these things. So anytime when I've been dealing with anything, but especially the M words, I have found myself on YouTube Googling like pregnancy after M word, or just the M word in general, just to see, you know, other videos of people sharing their experiences. And I don't know, sometimes it's just nice to feel like you're not the only person going through something like that, because it is kind of an isolating feeling, especially if you don't really know anyone in your personal life that's dealt with it. It feels like, well, why is this happening to me? Like, why am I having these issues and other people aren't having them? Even though I know that they are. It's one of those things that makes you feel like, ugh, you're like the only person having an issue like that, when you're not, you know? So that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to share it and talk about it a little bit, because this has become a big part of my life. And, you know, now it's kind of intertwined possibly with these stomach issues I've been having all these years. And I don't know, I felt like I just wanted to update you. All right, so I kind of put that shade on really lightly. And now I kind of want to use one of these shimmery shades. So I guess I'm going to use this color right here, this middle color. And I'm going to put that kind of on the center of my lid. And just kind of tap it on. God, this color is so pretty. So I did have a few weeks there where I wasn't uploading on YouTube, and that was also really hard because YouTube is like my happy place, and when I sit and film videos and do makeup, it brings me so much just peace, honestly. So it's really hard when I can't upload, or I don't feel like uploading. So I've been trying to just go on and, you know, just push through and try to film, even if it's not my best day. But it's definitely been difficult some days. But I'm trying to stay positive. I know that's the best thing for me to do. It's just really, really hard sometimes. Like, I didn't have a video up this last Friday, and that was mainly because Friday just was not a very good day for me. I actually started my period on Friday, and this month I was thinking that I might be pregnant, and then of course I ended up not being, and it's a lot, you guys. It's a lot, and I just really would like to get some more insight on what's going on. And it sucks to feel like, okay, I'm doing all these things and I'm not even making any progress, you know? So I hope tomorrow that appointment goes well. I'm gonna take a little bit of my bronzer that I used and add it on my eyes too. This is the House Labs bronzer, which actually I was just in my everyday makeup drawer video for this month, I picked this one out and I was saying I feel like I neglect this bronzer, and I'm using it right now and I love how this looks today, so I don't know why I'm neglecting it because I really like this. So since I've been using it this time, I'm using the Tower 28 mascara now. And I did also just want to say thank you to so many of you since I kind of started sharing a little bit about these issues that I've been having. So many of you have either left comments on here or you've messaged me, like direct messaged me on Instagram with just the nicest things. So thank you so much for doing that, and I really do mean it. I'm not just saying it when I tell you that my YouTube and this community here really does mean everything to me. So that's one of the reasons why I get so upset when I can't or when I don't upload, is because I don't ever want to like disappoint anyone for not having a new video or anything like that, and also just disappoint myself because I hate it when I don't post videos. I can't stand it. But I do just want to thank you for all your nice comments that or messages that you've sent me, because so many of you have, and I really do appreciate it. Also really wanted to film this video today because I need like something to distract me today, because I'm already sitting here worried about going to that doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I'm trying to distract myself. I've never liked going to the doctor. I've always kind of had a thing about doctors, but ever since we moved here and I've had the 2 M words, anytime I have to go to the OBGYN, I have like I don't know what happens, but I get like a very sick feeling, and I guess it's just because now I associate that with that. So now I have that feeling again about this appointment tomorrow, but I'm just hoping for the best. I'm gonna do my lips now. I'm using the Makeup by Mario lip liner in Hugh. I love this lip liner in Hugh. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of this one too. I've been kind of playing around with this color too. This is Maybelline Color Sensational lip liner in Gone Greige, and I kind of use this the same way I use Travis from Makeup by Mario. And I just kind of add it right in the center. I'm actually going to take a little bit of my cream blush, which today I used Petal from Weston Atelier. You guys, I tried this the other day. I posted about it on my Instagram. These are so good. These e.l.f. lip oils. These are the Glow Revival lip oil, and this is the shade Rose Envy. This is the best drugstore lip oil. I'm just gonna say it. Of all the ones that I've tried, this one's the best. It's so thin feeling on your lips. It's not sticky, and it has a smell, and it's like the most lovely minty smell. I mean, these are so good. If you don't have one and you like lip oils, highly recommend these. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope this was kind of enjoyable. I know it's not the most like pleasant thing to talk about for me, and probably not the most fun thing to listen to either, but I did just kind of want to update you because a lot of you have been asking what's going on with everything, and like I said, I feel like I want to share these things that are happening with you because a lot of you have been with me since like the beginning of my channel, and I do feel like you're my friends, even though I don't know you personally. I feel like I know so many of you that I don't know, I wanted to share, and I hope I wasn't too all over the place. Like I said, this is my second time filming this because the first time I definitely was all over the place. So I just tried to kind of give you a general idea of what's going on, but anyways, I'll stop rambling now, but thank you so much for watching. Everything I used, I will link below for you. They are affiliate links, so I do make a commission that supports the channel. If you use them, make sure to subscribe if you have not already, and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for your support and your love. And remember, simply be you. Bye.